So we're now drawing towards the end of the day, and I'd like to invite some friends and colleagues to the stage. So when I call your name and introduce you, please come up to the stage. Firstly, I'd like to invite Dr. Stirling Bryan, a long-time friend of the BC Support Unit and former principal investigator, as well as former Chief Scientific Officer of Health Research BC. Please welcome Stirling. I'd also like to invite Sunny Liu, patient partner and Health Research BC board member, and Dr. Danielle Lavallee, our Chief Scientific Officer and Senior Vice President of Research and Innovation at Health Research BC. Up to the stage. Please welcome. So, Stirling has been a long-time champion for patient-oriented research, having been with the BC Support Unit since its inception in 2016. He is now the Interim Executive Director at Vancouver Coastal Health Research Institute and Associate Dean, Research, UBC, Faculty of Medicine. He decided before heading towards the latter stages of his career, he wanted the longest possible title that anybody could have, and now he's achieved that goal. We're so pleased to have you here, Stirling. I'm going to hand it over to you for some closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Ellie, and thank you everyone for staying right through to the end of the meeting. I think I have 30 minutes to just, I've got 3 minutes to make some final comments. So I want to just reflect to start with on a year ago today. I was standing here with my good friend and colleague, Lisa Ridgway, who we lost this year. She described me as her learned friend. And so I hope in my final comments that I'll do justice to Lisa's suggestion that I was in any way a learned friend. I want to just reflect very quickly on what I've heard today. The day started in such a fabulous way with Elder Delia and Elder Roberta. And Elder Roberta asked us to celebrate this beautiful conference day. And I think we've lived up to that, and we've had a beautiful conference day, and it certainly felt like a celebration. So thank you, Elder Delia and Elder Roberta, for your opening comments. I want to comment on Sherry suggesting that I look down on people. I've been reflecting on whether I have ever looked down on anybody. Physically, yes, but I hope that I do not do that. And I think it sort of says something about patient-oriented research, is that we don't look down on anybody in patient-oriented research. We actually lift people up and the voices of lived experience to be central. So I loved what Sherry said. Sherry said we, as in patient partners, bring our extraordinary lived experience, and that seems to fit perfectly. So thank you for that, Sherry. Antoine, I loved your admission of having a professional crush on Ghislaine, and I can understand exactly why that was the case. That was a remarkable story and a remarkable program of research and care delivery that you're embarking upon. So thank you for sharing that. And I've been reflecting on who my professional crush is or has been, and there have been several over my professional career. And if you want to know who those people are, then I'll share that afterwards with you individually. Okay. One of the things that I had experienced in the breakout groups was the pairing of patient partners and researchers, which was an amazing experience to have, and I think we should do much more of that. I heard from Danny, our patient partner working in the area of stroke and brain injury, a remarkable story, and thank you, Danny, for sharing your experience. And then we had Kim McGrail and Claire Bertrand, And Claire was gave an amazing reflection on what we expect from patient partners. And one of the things that Claire indicated was the expectation around performance. And we're actually asking people to perform when they're actually doing patient-oriented research and bringing that lived experience. And I think we need to be careful, and I think it is like a constant sort of reminder to us of the importance of caring for and actually having realistic expectations that we place upon patient partners. So I really do thank you for your reflections, Claire. And then we had a remarkable session on AI and EDI, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And Lovedeep Gondara presented. I was nervous going into that meeting, that session, because I know of the challenges with AI, but this was providing solutions. Putting patients first requires putting fairness first when we're talking about AI. And he gave examples where this was now clearly the case. So he was talking about AI designed for every patient, works better for every patient. And I think we need to really stay true to that and hold that and challenge people who are developing AI algorithms to reflect on that and to think about AI. And then we had our wonderful final plenary from Sarah, and there was just so much to hold on to, and I love the Nirvana reference, and I'll take that one with me as well. But learning communities can be the constant beacons in environments of evolution, uncertainty, and overwhelm. So we're creating those constant beacons. And so the challenge to us from Sarah was having patients first, learning health systems. And I encourage us all to really move that work forward. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Stirling. You are someone I do look up to. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real honor to be standing here today alongside Dr. Bryan, Dr. Lavallee, not as a researcher or a clinician, but as a patient partner. When I first got involved with the BC Support Unit 9 years ago, I didn't imagine I would one day be giving closing remarks at putting patients first. I started small then. Honestly, I just needed a distraction from my illness. I attended workshops. I asked questions. I learned how research worked. Then I became a patient partner. I joined committees. I sat in planning meetings. I reviewed proposals and budgets. I chaired the Patient Council, and today I have the privilege of serving on the board of Michael Smith's Health Research BC. That journey didn't happen because I'm special. It happened because this community made space at the table for me, a patient. And that's what today has been about. In 2024, this conference focused on laying the foundation for a learning community, highlighting the learning health system. This year, we've gone deeper into what it means to be a learning community. For me, a learning system is about how knowledge moves. A learning community is about who moves it. And a learning community is strongest when the table is crowded with researchers, clinicians, policymakers, funders, Indigenous leaders, students, caregivers, and patients. People from different regions, cultures, identities, and experiences. Some of us have letters after our names. Some of us have hospital bracelets in our memories. What makes this powerful isn't just expertise, it's diversity. You gave us your time to be here today, in person and online, and that matters. Building a learning community takes intention. For patients, it takes courage. Every patient has their own path. Mine started with distraction and curiosity. Someone else's might begin with frustration, or hope, or necessity. Our stories are different, but our goal is shared. We want a health system that works better, and we believe in nothing about us without us. That isn't a slogan, it's a principle. Patient belongs in conversation about treatment, policies, research designs, and funding priorities from the beginning, not at the end, not as a checkbox, at the start. Today I saw people sitting beside each other, not across from each other. Researchers listening, patients questioning, leaders reflecting. That's what communities look like. As we leave today, my hope is that we don't just remember the presentations. I hope we remember the mindset. Stay curious, stay collaborative, keep widening the table, and most importantly, keep making space, not just for my voice, but for the many patient voices across this province who deserve to be heard. Because when we build a true learning community, we don't just improve health research, we improve health care, we improve health systems, we improve our lives. Thank you for letting me be a part of this community, and thank you for continuing the work of putting patients first. Now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Danielle Lavallee. Danielle is the Chief Scientific Officer and Senior Vice President, Research and Innovation at Michael Smith Health Research. She oversees the organization's research portfolio, including the patient support unit.
Thanks, Sonny. That's too much for the end of the day. What a day it's been. I just can't thank you all enough for the wonderful engagement and discussion that has happened throughout this room, and also want to thank wherever you are online for joining us throughout the day. And I look forward to watching the sessions that were occurring concurrently that I wasn't able to see. I want to thank our keynote speakers again, Antoine and Sarah, for such compelling and fantastic presentations. I also want to thank Monica and the BC Support Unit team, who've done a phenomenal job pulling this conference together. As we all know, these are no small feats, and so just a quick round of applause for all of the hard work. It's always great going after Stirling because he does a good job of summarizing the key points for the day. So I'm actually going to flip my direction a little bit and think about some of the comments actually that Monica made this morning when she was reflecting on all of the investments that have come into BC from the Canadian Institutes for Research, as well as the provincial government, the health authorities, the research institutes, the time and the expertise of the people in this room and beyond. It's really built a phenomenal capacity for patient-oriented research here in the province. And what I'd like to sum up by saying is hopefully to pay the highest compliment I could think, which is that Health Research BC is a stronger organization because the BC Support Unit is part of its whole. Yeah, that's right. In the time that we've been together as Health Research BC, the BC Support Unit has really helped us evolve how we work as a provincial agency focused on building talent, catalyzing solutions for the health research system, and mobilizing action on shared priorities. I have 3 examples. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to join the BC Network Environment for Indigenous Health Research and the knowledge translation gathering that they held. The BC NEAR has been a partner for our organization with the BC Support Unit's support. Sorry about the double supports there. The deepening of relationships that we've had has been phenomenal, not only in the relationships that we have in getting to know each other, but the way it's informed our ability to improve our equity and Indigenous cultural safety in the work that we lead and how we fund as a funding agency. So it's a phenomenal example of how we're continuing to grow stronger as an organization.
If you've been watching the reels, you might have noticed our funding announcement for advancing use of evidence in seniors' home and community care. These awards take a learning health systems approach and are a really exciting way of just even thinking about the funding mechanism. The first phase was about building research teams to put together the proposal. Oftentimes, we don't fund that part of the research process. You do it on the under parts of your desk and on the weekends and nights. But in this case, it was really making sure teams had that time to come together and formulate the project. Now those teams across the province will start figuring out how do we get this existing evidence into practice to narrow that gap of research production and use. Over the next little bit, we'll be learning alongside those teams to help them learn together about what are the shared challenges and what are the shared solutions that help us move faster together. At the same time, as an organization, we'll be learning how does this funding mechanism actually advance evidence into practice. So there will be a really cool opportunity to figure out how we continue this work moving forward. And finally, I'm going to close on mobilizing action on shared priorities. And again, if you've been watching the little carousel of slides, you'll have noticed that in a couple of weeks, we're going to be announcing a new funding opportunity that really is about putting patients first, bringing communities together, and bringing these relationships together to identify what are the wicked problems that we face, and what are the ways that we craft action to really address those challenges here in the province. So it's a really exciting opportunity that focuses on what we've done here today, build the relationships that are needed to move work forward. So while Putting Patients First 2026 is over, I hope to see many of you soon through 5 days in May, which if you haven't had an opportunity to join the 5 days in May, it's a phenomenal example of the research that's happening across the province. I've got some colleagues over here, too, in black hats. Yep, that can share with you more about that. But throughout the presentations in May, you see highlights of patient-oriented research happening in the regions and across the province. So those are my closing remarks, but before I really walk off the stage, please do complete your surveys. As a recovering researcher myself, I love good data. It helps us inform how we can do better with the gatherings that we bring together, and want to hear your reflections on the content that you heard today. There's a QR code, or you can answer it through, what is it called, Ellie? WOVA? Yeah, the WOVA app. So please do take the time before you leave. I am now going to turn things over to Sada, I believe, and Michelle to close us off in a good way. But thank you again for all of your time and discussion this week.
Thanks, Danielle. And thank you to everyone for joining us here today. Dr. Elder Roberta had hoped to join us to close Putting Patients First today, but a community commitment has called her away. We are grateful to Dr. Elder Roberta for her support of Putting Patients First over the years and for starting our day today in the good way. Thank you all again for joining us at Putting Patients First 2026, and travel safely. Thank you.